There was, of course, no way of knowing whether you were being watched at any given moment. How often, or on what system the thought police plugged in on any individual wire, was guesswork. It was even conceivable that they watched everybody all the time. But at any rate, they could plug in your wire whenever they wanted to. You had to live, did live, from habit that became instinct, in the assumption that every sound you made was overheard, and, except in darkness, every movement scrutinized. I don't want our populace to live in fear of its government. The government should fear the people.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right, who's next?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cassie, and I just read this quote, and it's scary. So I'm going to read it to you. On coins, on stamps, on the covers of books, on banners, on posters, and on the wrapping of a cigarette packet, everywhere. Always the eyes watching you and the voice enveloping you. Asleep or awake, working or eating, indoors or out of the doors, in the bath or in the bed, no escape. Nothing was your own except for the few cubic centimeters inside your skull. That's a pretty scary world to live in, and I would hate to continually live in that type of world. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey everybody, I'm Ronnie. Closer? All right. Don't you see that the whole aim of Newspeak is to narrow the range of thought? In the end, we shall make thought crime literally impossible, because there will be no words in which to express it. Every concept that can ever be needed will be expressed by exactly one word, with its meaning rigidly defined and all its subsidiary meanings rubbed out and forgotten. I'm here because privacy is our right. Thanks.
By the way, there's a couple clipboards going around. If you want to help this movement grow and sign up, look for the clipboards and please sign up and put your email. If you know, I think you can trust these people. This reminds me of the frogs boiling metaphor, which I think we all know has been happening since Reagan got elected, if not before. How could you tell how much of it was lies? It might be true that the average human being was better off now than he had been before the revolution. The only evidence to the contrary was the mute protest in your own bones, the instinctive feeling that the conditions you lived in were intolerable and that at some other time they must have been different. Now's your chance to get back to what it used to be.
Thank you.
I read this book in high school. The quote that most interests me is one that was read first, that the main character has to learn how to mask his face because the technology can read from his facial expressions his thoughts and accuse him of a thought crime. This quote is different, very short. Everything faded into mist. The past was erased. The erasure was forgotten. The lie became truth.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Joseph Brenner, and I think if we're going to have a transparent society, we need a transparent government, and that is not what we're getting. Within 20 years at the most, he reflected, the huge and simple question, was life better before the revolution than it is now? Would have ceased once and for all to be answerable. but in effect it was unanswerable even now, since the few scattered survivors from the ancient world were incapable of comparing one age with another. They remembered a million useless things: a quarrel with a workmate, a hunt for a lost bicycle pump, the expression on a long-dead sister's face, the swirls of dust on a windy morning 70 years ago. But all the relevant facts were outside the range of their vision. They were like the ant, which can see small objects but not large ones. And when the memory failed and written records were falsified, when that happened, the claim of the party to have improved the conditions of human life had got to be accepted, because there does not exist and never again could exist any standard against which it could be tested. Thank you.
Once, when he happened in some connection to mention the war against Eurasia, she startled him by saying casually that in her opinion the war was not happening. The rocket bombs which fell daily on London were probably fired by the government of Oceania itself, just to keep people frightened. This was an idea that literally never occurred to him. And unfortunately it hasn't occurred to enough of us. We're already in Syria, another example of how we're all being distracted away from what's really important here. And I'm so pleased to see people show up for what is important.
Kia ora, my name is Gentry Wakeham. I am from New Zealand. And I'm not part of the America's Cup Syndicate, but I am here in solidarity with this wonderful gathering this afternoon against your NSA actions, because this is exactly what happened in Auckland, New Zealand, 1 week ago, when we had 2,000 people out marching against the very same legislation which entitles the New Zealand government to use their methods to spy on our emails and all our communications. So I say kia kaha and good on you. The wonderful prescience words of George Orwell, and I compliment the people here for pulling these quotes out, is a wonderful way to remind us just how important these writers are. He says, the empirical method of thought on which all the scientific achievements of the past were founded is opposed to the most fundamental principles of INSOC, and even technological progress only happens when its products can in some way be used for the diminution of human liberty. And another brief quote adding on to that, the two aims of the party are to conquer the whole surface of the earth and to extinguish once and for all the possibility of independent thought. So this is so essential. Challenge at every turn of the screw the entitlement to be independent and to be free in our own homes and workplaces. So kia kaha.
Thank you.
How you doing? My name is Steve. I'm going to try to cool this hot mic a little bit. Okay. All rulers of all ages have tried to impose a false view of the world upon their followers. Very true. Their history is his story.
Thank you.
Hey everybody, my name's Alan. It's great to see everybody here. Thanks for coming. My quote is very succinct. It's from the book 1984 by George Orwell. It reads, "Perhaps a lunatic was simply a minority of one." What that means to me is no matter what the Supreme Court says about the constitutional Fourth Amendment, we have a right not to be looked at without judicial oversight.
is Sheila Goldmacher, originally from Brooklyn, New York, and I brought my hero with me today. We cannot forget what he did. Oh, sure. Yeah. And what he is suffering for all of us here today and the millions of Americans who are not here today and don't get it. And I'm reading to you today as a retired librarian and a school teacher who refuses to ban any books. Right? And you have to stand with libraries and teachers. I read this book many years ago and I shuddered as a high school student. I'm approaching 80, and I never dreamed I would live to see my country become Orwell's nightmare. So I'm reading something called Freedom is Slavery. Then almost without a pause, he wrote beneath it, 2 and 2 make 5. But then there came a sort of check. Oh, okay, sorry. I also want to say one more thing. There's an amazing memorial that was built to honor the Abraham Lincoln Brigade, the only international force that ever stood up against fascism in the world. Go see it over there. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is James. I'm from the state of Nevada. I came out here today to talk about the NSA. I'm reading a 1984 quote. For the first time, he perceived that if you want to keep a secret, you must also hide it from yourself. You must know all the while that it is there, but until it is needed, you must never let it emerge into your consciousness in any shape that could be given a name. From now onwards, he must not only think right, he must feel right, dream right. And all the while, he must keep his hatred locked up inside him like a ball of matter, which was part of him and yet unconnected with the rest of him, a kind of cyst. I'm here today because this movement is bigger than one party. This movement is bigger than one ideology. This is an American amendment. The Fourth Amendment is not a Republican amendment. It is not a Democrat amendment. It is an amendment for the American people. And it makes me very happy to see people from all walks of life out here today to protest this. Thank you very much. James Newcomb.
All right. I hope everyone is able to appreciate these quotes. I think this book is very important, and it's very ironic that we're able to celebrate it on 8/4. So I have one last quote for everyone. This is one of my favorite ones in the book. 1984. George Orwell wrote it. Okay, so the quote goes, "The party seeks power entirely for its own sake." Oh, sorry, this is the wrong one. Here we go. "The party did not seek power for its own ends, but only for the good of the majority. That it sought power because men in mass were frail, cowardly creatures who could not endure liberty or face the truth, and must be ruled over and systematically deceived by others who were stronger than themselves. That the choice for mankind lay between freedom and happiness, and that happiness was better. That the party was the eternal guardian of the weak, a dedicated sect doing evil that good might come." Thank you.